I'm going to say the quiet part first. I wasn't trying to have a baby. I was trying to have a boyfriend who acted like losing me would ruin him. Caleb and I had been together 2 years. Solid on paper, good couple to our friends, steady routines, shared keys, weekends that looked like a future. And the worst thing I could say about him is this. He was calm. He didn't do jealousy. He didn't do begging. He didn't do chaos. He did consistency. And somewhere in my head, I started confusing consistency with not caring enough. Like if he wasn't frantic, I wasn't special. That's how this began, not with pregnancy, not with grief, not with a tragic accident. With ego. With me wanting to force a reaction. Caleb works long hours in IT. He's the kind of man who can fix your router, your taxes spreadsheet, your car Bluetooth, and your mood with the same steady patience. He shows love in practical ways. Gas tank filled, your favorite snack stocked, your phone charger replaced without you asking. At first it made me feel safe. Then it made me feel invisible. I didn't want to admit I was craving attention, so I dressed it up as needs. I need more romance, I'd say. I need more reassurance. I need more intensity. Caleb would listen, nod, and try. He'd plan dinners, buy flowers, set reminders to text me during the day. But it wasn't theatrical. It wasn't dramatic. It was Caleb doing what he always does, making improvements like his adjusting code. And that's what made me angrier, which is insane when I say it out loud. Because my brain wasn't asking for love. It was asking for proof. Proof that I could still control his emotions. Proof that he'd break his calm for me. 3 months ago, we had a fight that should have ended with a conversation. It ended with a seed. He forgot an anniversary-adjacent thing. One of those "this is important to me" dates I'd mentioned, and he didn't bookmark properly. I made it bigger than it needed to be because I wanted him to feel guilty. "You don't prioritize me," I snapped. Caleb's face tightened. "That's not true." "It is," I insisted. "If I disappeared tomorrow, you'd just keep going." Caleb stared at me for a beat. "That's unfair." I leaned into it. "So prove me wrong." He went quiet, and that quiet was exactly the problem. It didn't give me the emotional fireworks I wanted. So I said the sentence that pushed me into the worst idea of my life. "I wonder if you'd care more if something actually happened." Caleb's eyes widened. "What does that mean?" I shrugged like I hadn't just threatened our relationship with a vague storm cloud. Nothing. But it didn't mean nothing. It meant I had learned that something happening is the fastest way to make people show up. And once that idea forms, it grows teeth. A week later, I was late. Not dramatically late. 3 days. Something that happens sometimes. I could have ignored it. Instead, my brain lit up with a stupid, poisonous opportunity. This could make him pay attention. I didn't even decide to lie immediately. I just tested the edges of the story in my head. Like, what if I told him I was scared? What if I implied it? What if I let him worry? So I did. I sat on the couch one night, quiet, staring at my phone like I was reading something devastating. Caleb noticed instantly. "Hey. What's wrong?" I hesitated. An intentional hesitation. And said softly, "I'm late." Caleb froze. "Late as in?" I nodded. He sat down, suddenly alert. "Okay. Have you taken a test?" I shook my head. "Not yet." Caleb's hand found mine. "Do you want to?" And here's where a normal person would say, "Yes, let's figure it out." I didn't want to figure it out. I wanted to be held. So I said, "I don't know. I'm scared." Caleb pulled me into his chest immediately. "Hey. We'll handle it. Whatever it is. That. Whatever it is." Hit something in me. Because his calm, steady promise made me feel secure, and also weirdly disappointed. It wasn't panic. It wasn't frantic. It was responsible. And I wanted frantic. So instead of taking a test that night, I milked the uncertainty for 2 more days. 2 days of Caleb being extra gentle, checking on me, cooking dinner, asking how I felt. I told myself it was harmless because it was just a possibility. But deep down, I knew I was manipulating the atmosphere. On day 3, I told him I'd taken a test. I didn't show him a test. I showed him my face and a shaky voice and said, "It's positive." Caleb's entire expression changed like someone had switched on a new life behind his eyes. He sat down slowly. "Positive." I nodded and started crying. Real tears, because the gravity of what I was doing finally hit me. Caleb took my face in his hands. "Okay," he said, voice thick. "Okay. We'll do this. Are you okay? Are you feeling sick? Do you need a doctor?" I shook my head, crying harder. "I don't know. I didn't plan this." Caleb hugged me so tight it felt like apology and promise at the same time. "We'll be okay," he whispered. "We'll figure it out." And in that moment, I felt something disgusting and addictive. Power. Not over him. Over the relationship. Over the emotional temperature. Over the narrative. I had pulled Caleb into full focus mode, and it felt like being chosen. For the next week, Caleb was everything I claimed I wanted. He researched prenatal vitamins. He offered to go to an appointment with me. He started talking about practical changes. Insurance, budgeting, moving to a bigger place eventually. And every time he used the word "we," my throat tightened. Because we meant this wasn't a performance anymore. It was becoming real. So my brain did what it always does when I've created a lie that's growing legs. It looked for an exit. The cleanest exit was a miscarriage. It sounds monstrous because it is. But in my head, it was the perfect resolution. I get the attention. I get the sympathy. I get to go back to normal without admitting I lied. And Caleb would feel guilty forever for any time he hadn't appreciated me enough. That last part is what makes me sick now. I wanted to plant a permanent guilt button inside him. I'm not going to describe the method like a tutorial. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I did something disgusting to create evidence. I staged a scene. I manufactured a panic. And I planned it for a night Caleb was home, because I wanted the reaction in real time. It was a Thursday. Caleb had worked late and came home tired but sweet. He kissed my forehead. "How are you feeling?" "Off," I said. He immediately turned into caretaker. "Do you want tea? A bath?" I shook my head. "I have cramps." Caleb's face tightened with concern. "Okay. That can be normal, but let's monitor it." I nodded, acting fragile. Then I went to the bathroom and did what I did. I screamed. Not a little yelp. A scream meant to trigger fear. Caleb burst in, eyes wide. What happened? I was shaking, crying, pointing. Performing horror. "I'm bleeding," I sobbed. I think it's happening." Caleb went pale. No. No. Okay. Breathe. "We're going to the ER. I grabbed his wrist. I can't go. I can't." "Babe, we have to," he said, voice breaking. "Please." And here's where my manipulation became cruelty. I refused help so I could control the narrative. I cried harder. "It's too late." "I know it is." Caleb knelt in front of me, hands shaking, trying to hold my face steady. "Look at me. We need a doctor." I kept sobbing, repeating, "It's gone. It's gone," like I was in a movie. Caleb hugged me. Tight, desperate. And I felt him shaking. I got what I wanted. I got the reaction. And the second I got it, I felt nauseous, because it didn't feel like love. It felt like robbery. For 2 days afterward, Caleb treated me like glass. He took off work. He cooked. He cleaned. He held me while I cried. He asked gentle questions about seeing a doctor, confirming things, checking my health. I kept avoiding appointments because appointments produce paperwork, and paperwork produces reality. Caleb didn't accuse me. He didn't yell. He just got quieter. Then, on day 3, He said something that started the collapse. I need us to go to a clinic, he said. Just to make sure you're okay. I sniffled. I'm fine. Caleb nodded slowly. I don't think you are. And I'm not guessing. I tried to pivot into anger. Why are you interrogating me? Caleb's voice stayed calm. Because I'm scared for you. And because I don't understand the timeline. My stomach dropped. What timeline? Caleb looked at me, eyes steady. You told me you were positive. But you never showed me a test. We never had an appointment. And then suddenly. He stopped himself, jaw tight. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just need facts. Facts. The one thing liars can't survive. So I cried louder. And Caleb. Caleb didn't fold. He just watched me for a long moment and said quietly, okay. That okay wasn't comfort. It was him stepping back emotionally. That night, Caleb slept on the couch. Not as punishment. As distance. The next morning, he said he was going to run errands. 2 hours later, he came back with a plain folder in his hand and a look on his face that made my blood go cold, calm, but resolved. He sat across from me at the kitchen table. I need you to tell me the truth, he said. I tried the wounded voice. I have been telling the truth. Caleb nodded once. Okay. Then he opened the folder. Inside were 3 things. A printed screenshot of our calendar. Showing he'd offered to take me to appointments multiple times. A grocery receipt with a highlighted purchase time from that Thursday. A photo he'd taken of the trash. Because he'd noticed something in it that didn't belong. I stared at the papers like they were poison. My throat tightened. Why are you going through the trash? Caleb's voice didn't change. Because the story didn't make sense. I whispered, you don't trust me. Caleb stared at me for a beat. No. I don't. That sentence snapped something inside me. Caleb. Please. I started. He held up a hand, calm. Before you talk, I want you to understand something. He leaned forward slightly. I called a clinic. I asked what documentation exists after a miscarriage if someone comes in. Even if it's early. Even if it's just for safety. My stomach dropped. Caleb continued, then I asked you for an appointment. You refused. I couldn't breathe right. And then, he said, voice low, I found what I found. He didn't say the words. He didn't need to. The shame in my body said them for me. I started crying. I didn't mean to. Caleb's eyes looked wet, but he didn't comfort me. You staged it. I shook my head, sobbing. I just wanted you to care. Caleb's jaw tightened. I cared. I cared so much I almost broke watching you. I whispered, I'm sorry. Caleb nodded once. I know. Then he said the sentence that ended the relationship. I can't be with someone who weaponizes pregnancy to control me. I thought the worst part would be him leaving. It wasn't. The worst part was that he didn't just leave quietly. He corrected the narrative. Because I had already started telling people. I'd told my sister. I'd told 2 friends. I'd hinted online with vague sadness posts and life is unfair captions. I'd collected sympathy like it was currency. Caleb refused to let me keep that currency. That night, he sent a short message to a group chat we shared with friends. The kind of chat where people plan game nights and birthdays. He didn't write an essay. He didn't insult me. He wrote something calm and devastating. I need to be clear, there was no confirmed pregnancy and no miscarriage. I found evidence it was staged. I'm leaving. Then he attached a single photo, the receipt and the trash evidence. Cropped, factual, undeniable. No gore. No humiliation porn. Just proof. My phone exploded. Friends texting, what is this? Is this real? Please tell me this isn't true. My sister called screaming. And I sat there staring at the screen, realizing the same thing I had tried to do to Caleb. Control the narrative. Had been flipped on me. Except Caleb used facts. And I used emotion. Facts win. Caleb packed that night. Not chaotic packing. Efficient packing. He took his documents, his laptop, his clothes. He left the furniture because most of it was mine. He left quietly, like a man exiting a burning building. At the door, he paused. I was sobbing, shaking, begging. Please, I whispered. I'll go to therapy. I'll do anything. Caleb's eyes were exhausted. You should, he said softly. But not for me. Then he added, without cruelty, I hope you understand what you did before you do it to someone else. And he walked out. Not angry. Done. The guy wins here because he refuses to be manipulated by tragedy. He doesn't stay because you cry harder. He doesn't let you keep sympathy you didn't earn. He proves the truth, protects himself, and leaves. And me. I learned the hard way that you can't earn love by faking pain. All you earn is a reputation you can't scrub off. Because when you weaponize something as serious as pregnancy loss, people don't just stop trusting your partner. They stop trusting you. My remarks. Hey guys, thanks for watching. She didn't just lie. She staged a miscarriage to force attention and permanent guilt. He wins by staying calm, checking facts, finding proof, and correcting the narrative publicly before she could farm sympathy. This is why boundaries matter. If someone weaponizes tragedy, you don't negotiate. You exit. Subscribe. More tomorrow.